In today's show, we discuss, is the progress of automation and AI making humans freer, but damaging us en route?
And now, the TNT Talk Show, daring to go where other podcasts fear to tread.
Hello, I'm Tony Fasulo, and I share the stage with my esteemed friend and colleague, Tayo Boya. Tayo, hello, my friend, once again. I hope you're keeping safe and well.
Yeah, what the hell, Tony? What you gonna do, eh?
You've been getting a few prank or daft calls, I understand.
Oh, well, such is life. The lucky ones die first, as you know.
Oh, well, I'm not so sure about that comment. Not this week. I've had
Oh,
some
sorry,
terrible
yes, okay,
news. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah,
Mm.
I don't go with that one. But okay, let's move on. Let's move on. Um, Come on, I'm going to have to ask you though. Are you going to say hi to our audience?
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, one of those moods today. What the hell, right?
Oh,
Hello, audience.
whoa, whoa, whoa! I'm taken aback.
No, well, because I've had a friend of mine who says that I've got to lighten up. I mean, he says
Was that
I'm
me?
no
Oh,
another. I do have more than one friend, you know.
oh, okay. I wondered about that.
And yes, he wasn't too impressed. We were playing, we're choosing whose turn it was to do something. So we're playing rock, paper, scissors. I chose rock and he chose paper
Okay, so
and
he
said he'd
wins.
won. Yeah, so he
Hmm.
went. So I punched him in the mouth and said, "Where's your flipping paper now?"
It's
And he
terrible.
wasn't he wasn't really impressed. So
Oh,
I think our
your, your joke telling is a shocker. Oh dear me. I mean, honestly, seek another career. This joke telling doesn't work for you. I'm laughing because it's just the whole thing is so bad. That's all.
that's the whole point,
Anyway,
Tony. That's the entire point. I don't know.
uh,
Why did you decide it was a joke, though?
because just the way that you tell them, they're just so bad.
Okay, well, he's actually called off our plumbing pizza night, so I don't know.
Not surprised. Anyway, let's move
Ooh,
on. Let's move on with the
ooh,
show. Now,
big,
before
big catty, but
we
okay.
we before we talk about our topic, I am going to ask you, the audience, if you'd be kind enough to
Oh,
like and subscribe or comment actually on any platform you are listening or watching us on. We don't mind what platform it is. Just comment, just say hi, what we like about the show, what we dislike about the show. We'd still want those comments because that allows us to move forward. We can make suggestions. If you want to suggest to Tyre to get rid of the joke section at the beginning, I'm all for that. So if you want to comment and say any of that, he's giving me the evil eye.
well, it's flipping time and say hello to the. You go ahead and write him and tell me that. Let's see me say hello, audience again. Go on, go on. Exactly why I don't even want to talk to the audience in the first place.
So there, the audience, there you are. Whatever platform you're on, please comment, like, share, subscribe. Even, it doesn't matter what it's on. We value your feedback and any comments you can provide, particularly on Tayo's joke telling. But anyway, let's move on with the show. And in today's show, the topic of conversation is one I've come up with this time. Way is it's basically
That's why I'm not so invested.
we're going to discuss AI and automation, and basically ask the question, is the progress of automation, and it's rapidly moving forward, does it make us humans freer, frees up our time, but is it damaging us whilst doing this? That's a topic. Now, Taya, I don't know if you want to say anything regarding this topic, because it is one of mine, just what your particular view is so far.
It's an interesting. Well, It's an intellectually interesting question without really being one that is emotionally interesting. I mean, it's, but intellectually, how is AI, especially a more widespread, a more effective, a more readily available AI, how is that going to affect society? And isn't there a danger that it will release humans from working? And if we are released from working, I mean, on the one hand, it sounds fantastic. We don't have to work. But on the other hand, I'm pretty sure that I've read somewhere that the countries with the least, whose citizens have the least number of problems, also have the highest suicide rates. Because
Really?
apparently, well, Finland is what comes to mind. Finland, the Nordic countries.
Hmm.
They're supposedly the happiest countries, but they also seem to have the highest suicide rates. It doesn't really gel. And the explanation supposedly is if you don't have problems, you've got a problem. And I just wonder if there is something behind this idea that AI could lead us as a human, as a species, into a cul-de-sac where we have outsourced even our intellectual efforts, for goodness sakes. Because you'd think you when we thought we were going to be replaced by robots, at least that would have allowed us to have intellectual pursuits. So we could have become, better artists, better novelists, better filmmakers, better musicians. It would go into the arts in a big way, and that would be the human thing. And then the drudgery, the drudge work, cleaning the house and washing the clothes and ironing, all this could be outsourced to robots.
Which is basically what AI and automation will
Well, the problem is
lead
that
to, I
AI,
think.
no, AI actually is the problem with AI is that we're outsourcing our intellect, even in our intellectual pursuits. So you can write a book now, doesn't I'm not guaranteeing it's going to be a great book, but you can give AI a kernel of an idea for a book and have the AI write it for you. So you can draw, you can create paintings just by suggesting subject matter and photographs and things. Do you understand what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
it's not just our physical work AI can take away from us, but also our intellectual work, our mental work. And then what do we do? Because then we are really surplus to requirements.
Well, I know there could be problems with this because we would end up being a race of beings looking to occupy our time with entertainment. That's what it all boiled down to, because all the how can we put it? You can't put mundane tasks because they're not, but first off, all the low level tasks would be taken care of. So, labor, that could all be replaced with robots, artificial intelligence, that they could work out more efficient ways of farming the land without us
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
providing food. So we will end up, I mean, okay, in a negative view, we could end up like cattle, where everything is provided and we just do what cattle do, just mull around chewing grass, producing milk. We would be not quite to that degree, but we would be, depending on the individual, choosing what they want to do. I mean, imagine now a world where AI and technology has become so advanced that we literally have all our needs catered for. You don't have to worry about food because it's all automated. You don't have to worry about work because there's no need, because all the big things are taken care of. So what's our role? What's our purpose now? What do we do as humans? And this could be a bigger problem than we're currently understanding, because we lose our purpose. And do we as a race then become, I don't know, do we advance where you can take two maybe steers here? You could go, right, I'm going to better myself, I'm going to become the best version of myself. I could communicate, well, even communication is not necessary because the translators will do it all for us. So you wouldn't have to learn another language, but you could still travel. You could still go and meet people and socialize with people around the world. You would have no communication barriers, because I dare say we would get technology that would instantly translate our words into the native language and vice versa. So you could have a conversation with people. So it's an interesting one.
Yes, the problem with your thesis is that not all of us are interested in meeting other people. So I'm not interested in meeting other people and traveling and meeting other people. I have unfortunately gained that very British attitude of thinking that other foreigners are oinks, and I'd rather not.
Terrible. Where'd you get that from?
Well, because they are.
No. You've got wrong
There's a
thinking
hierarchy.
there.
There's a hierarchy of oinks. I mean, starting from the despicable French.
Oh.
I really can't stand the French. Sorry, French, but it's true.
Why though? Why? I mean,
They're rude.
you say you don't.
They're rude.
How do you know? Do you know many French people firsthand and discovered that yourself?
Well, I went to Paris and I wasn't impressed. And Paris was dirty, by the way. It was just a really unpleasant place. And the people were unpleasant, and the attitudes. You know, there are a lot of unpleasant people in the world, but to add arrogance to it, that's a bit too much. I mean, what are you arrogant about? Why are you arrogant? If you're just unpleasant, you're just unpleasant. I can live with that. But what's all this hoity-toity? Well, what makes you so flip? You don't even speak English. It's ridiculous. So, I mean, I wasn't impressed.
That's very arrogant.
Sorry?
That's very arrogant. Don't
Everybody
even speak
speaks English, man. Oh, everybody. If you don't speak English, what's the matter with you, for goodness sakes? Anyway, so then you got. I'm not going to. Well, I went to school with these people. I wouldn't name them because it's not. Maybe I should name them, but I went to school with these people, and their table manners. Their table manners are such that the rest of us. Now, I went to an international. This is my A-level college. I believe we had. I've told you about it before. I think we had over 30 nationalities represented in that school. And for 29 nationalities to go to the principal and say, look, can you please put those people on a separate table because their table manners make us not want to eat? And that's the truth. They eat like pigs. It's disgusting.
Okay.
You don't want to go there.
Who are we talking about here?
I don't want. Should I? I'll tell you. I'll tell you who they are, and then you let me know whether you want me to share.
Do the
no, I'll tell you who they are.
Do the continent, so you're not actually picking on a nation.
Asia.
Okay. Leave it there.
Okay.
Right. So, because of that, you feel that you're not wanting to travel.
And then Americans speak English, but they're so obstreperous and boisterous and loud and just like, you know, you can just tell. It's like, goodness gracious me, you know, where's your you came your ancestors? Well, many of your ancestors came from England. I mean, when did you lose your decorum? What's the matter with you? And why do you keep saying lay for lie? Instead of saying, I went to lie down, I went to lay down. It's like, don't you guys, what kind of English is that? I went to lay down. It really freaks me out, man. You don't lay down, you lie down. You put something down on the table. You lay it on the table. Honestly, and then, you know what they say? They say evidences. Evidences. All their preachers run around with the evidences for God. You see, the evidences? Listen, open up a dictionary, man. There is no plural. English? evidences. So you can't live with the French, can't live with the, the people from that particular continent, can't live with the Americans. You just stay home, man.
So if you had,
And
let's
maybe
say,
avoid Cornwall. Because they're kind of weird too. Cornish people.
so you wouldn't,
I'm not even sure about Londoners, to be honest.
So if we had artificial intelligence that took away our need to work,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously you could still work if you wanted to, but you'd have to be at a really high level in order to get jobs in the companies that manage and
Hey,
look
you work
after
for free.
the AI.
You'd work for free. You'd volunteer.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Mhm.
What's wrong with that? That's aspirational because you're
Who's
now
going to want to volunteer? I can't even get up when they pay me. Who's going to get up when they don't pay me?
because you're doing it for mankind. You're doing it because you're helping somebody.
Sorry, say that again.
Okay, this is Tayo, folks. Yes, that wouldn't even cross his mind. Volunteering, helping others. Indeed, daft question. Okay, let's move.
For mankind.
So if AI, if AI
For the French, you mean? For the Americans, right? You
so
serious
you
now?
have no desire if your money was sorted out, let's say, in this society where automation would remove a lot of the dangerous jobs, the mundane jobs, the labor intensive jobs, and there was the need, for instance, because of that loss of work, loss of work across society, then the government would have to perhaps do an income, a universal income or equivalent. We've touched on before in previous shows. So if you had that, so you didn't need to work because you didn't need to, and you had a lot of spare time on your hands, wouldn't you think of things to do? Because society was running, so you could then take time out to, leisure time. So you wouldn't travel. Wouldn't you do anything
Well,
different?
I traveled. I've told you this before. I traveled, and I'm very careful now. In fact, my last holiday, we ensured it wasn't longer than 10 days.
It was
Because we
Nigeria,
traveled.
wasn't it? There you
Yes,
go.
yes.
You traveled then?
Let me step by step.
Okay.
A few years ago, we went on this cruise. And initially, it was wonderful. It was a 2-week cruise.
Where did you go?
Norway.
Oh, nice.
Yes, the fjords. Norwegian fjords. Amazingly beautiful country. I think the fjords are. I don't know what the rest of Norway is like, but it's stunning. I would say that on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 10.
Wow.
And I've never seen. And the next place after that, I'd say it was beautiful like that. I'd probably say it's a 6 or something. If anyone's ever never been, just take it from me. You should go in summer. It's amazing. Anyway, we went. We prepaid for drinks and everything. Food was there, drinks and everything. And initially it was just fantastic. There's wine on tap. I remember when I first saw it, I thought there's wine on tap. You just go up there, you just put your glass in, and you just get wine on tap.
Wow. Forget water, they upgraded you. Wine on tap. That's
wine
amazing.
on tap. Wine on tap. It was astonishing.
Wow.
And the bar was a bar open. I think it was. Open about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. It was open until like 2 or 3 o'clock at night.
Wow.
So there's basically, and you could always just call down for at any time of the day. Anyway, for food and for drink. We bought that package too. So it was just fantastic.
Sounds fantastic, yeah.
It was fantastic. It was, it started out fantastic. And then about a week of this, the jaded feeling started setting in. I started getting fed up. And about 4 days to the end of the voyage, I couldn't wait to get off.
What was it that made you jaded, though?
There was too much of everything. There was just nothing been there, done that. I've eaten that before. I've eaten that. I've eaten everything. I've eaten the sushi. I've eaten that. I've been to the the burger bar. I've been to this. There wasn't anything I hadn't done. And there's only so much alcohol you can have for fun. Then it's just the same old thing. It's just a buzz. It's just over and over. Wake up, get buzzed. Wake up, get buzzed. And then yes, the sights were what kept the excitement alive. But by the way, on the way back, we had already visited those places. You see,
Yeah.
so it wasn't new. But when initially Honningsvåg or whatever it was called, and this and that, and these beautiful places, waterfalls, like you just think this place is blooming paradise, But when you're going back again, it's like, yeah, it's paradise. But I've seen it. It's like, now what? Okay, let's have some more wine. I've already had some wine. I just drink water. It was just too much. And I'm pretty sure that this is what happens to rich people. I'm sure this is what happens to rich people, that they get jaded because there's nothing that's new. I mean, it's scarcity.
There's loss of purpose.
No, it's abundance. It's a super abundance of everything. What is fun about when I was living in Nigeria, eating Chinese food was a special thing. We always look forward. It was a special occasion. We'd go to the Chinese restaurant, my family and I go to the Chinese restaurant. We'd plan this trip and we'd go there and we'd order and we know what we want to do. And it was this big outing and we really enjoyed the food because it was special. Now I'm in the UK. I can barely order a Chinese meal because when I first moved, I ate so many Chinese meals and now I'm not really interested. It is the struggle to get something that isn't always available that makes getting it fun. It's an achievement. And when you can't achieve it, when it's not an achievement because it's just there for you all the time, it's just boring.
Okay, that you've likened that ability where you're not working, you've got choice, your choice is limited. So you think that it's a human failing, I suppose, where if you have too much abundance, which that would what give you, you'd get disillusioned, you'd get apathy and all. So if that's the case, why is it that millionaires and billionaires are not then giving their wealth away because they're all thinking the same?
Many of them are. Jeff Bezos has given away so much. I can't remember his name now. Is it Jeff Bezos? This is the Amazon
Jeff
guy.
Bezos hasn't given anything away. He's the least philanthropic of all the billionaires. Well, seriously, there was a table about it.
Someone's given away literally. Are you sure it's not Bezos? Anyway, no, I don't know.
Okay. Definitely not Bezos.
Somebody out there has given away fantastic sums of money. I know that Bill Gates gives away a lot of.
Bill Gates does. There's quite a few of them are very altruistic. They give away a lot.
It's not even a good idea to ask about them because these people live in America, and American rich have a cultural propensity for doing charity. It's part of their upbringings in their DNA. So they're not really a good example. How about, is it Soros? Does it have the Hungarian guy?
Soros, possibly. I don't know.
George Soros. Somebody has given away vast sums of money.
I know Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, Mackenzie.
Yeah, she took
Mackenzie Bezos. She, as part of the divorce settlement, because he was the richest man in the world, she had 48 billion as part of the divorce settlement. She has already given half of it away to good causes. But whilst she was married to Jeff Bezos did not do that. So anyway, that's a
it'll be like
subject.
What's his name? That not Carnegie. John Paul was it J for John? J. Paul Getty. You remember him?
John Paul Getty, yes, it was John Paul Getty,
yeah. Yeah, he'll be like that. He'll die, and then other people will spend his money. So if you don't spend it and give it away in the way that it satisfies you, don't worry about it. When you die, you can't take it with
Someone
you.
else will spend it.
Someone else will spend it for you.
You see, there's this thing where you've highlighted an interesting point though, because only the wealthy, the incredibly wealthy, have this ability at the moment where literally they don't need to work. They are doing other stuff, but then that's part of it because this other
Mm,
stuff gives them fulfillment.
no, I don't think you're quite right there. Don't forget that beach bums also do nothing.
Okay.
And many a time they are happier. They are happier people.
Not sure about happier, but they're happy as
Okay,
well.
they're happy. Well, yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking about compared to the rest of us. So maybe,
Well, there
yeah.
you go. So that idea where you don't need to work any
Hmm.
longer because AI and automation has taken care of it, doesn't necessarily lead to apathy or loss of purpose. It's what you as an individual are. So, yes, there would be added
Hmm.
pressure because let's put the example you've just given with the beach bum. They're
Hmm.
happy. They've chosen to be happy by
Yeah,
being a
because they
beach
don't
bum.
have a purpose. They're purposeless.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, but that's their DNA. That's why they're beach bums.
I'm not sure that's their DNA.
Must
I
be.
think it's because they've tried a lot of things and discovered, you know what? I actually like being a beach bum.
Well, I mean, unless we get a beach bum in and start asking direct questions, how are we going to figure that out?
Well, I knew one personally. I did know one personally because when I was a lot younger, I was not applying, but I'd been into an apprenticeship, and there was a whole group of us, about 15 of us, and the manager who was taking us all in, we were there. He was approaching us, and he said, "What do you all aspire to be? Where do you want to be in 5 years' time?" And people going around the routine comments, oh yeah, I want to be in your job, I want to be doing this career. And this guy, we knew, how's he going to answer this question? He says, I want to be on a beach, basically being a beach bum in 5 years' time. And everyone laughed, and the manager sort of looked at him and thought, seriously? He goes, yeah. He says, I want to earn a bit of money to then just be able to get away and do that. And we have lost touch with him, so I'm assuming he has actually fulfilled his purpose, and that's what he wanted to do. The fair play to him, if
Yeah.
that's his desire. But the thing
Yeah.
is, he
How many
obviously
of there were you in that room?
15 of us.
So 1 in 15. So the 14 of you didn't want to do that. So the vast majority of humans don't want to end up being beach
Well,
bums.
I'm not sure we wouldn't want to do that because all of us, if you think about it, how many people do the lottery?
I have no idea.
Well, there's still a lot of people. And if you were presented with a huge sum of money, most people would take it. How they would deal with it is a separate topic, but it's likened to this because if you think about it, AI will provide people not necessarily a big chunk of money to do what they want, but it will certainly remove the burden of having to work. And if that is removed for a lot of people, because a lot of people are not in their ideal job, are they? They're just doing it to make ends meet. So if you've now removed that, that your standard of living pretty much remains the same, you don't have to work, initially people will be excited. But then once they get used to it, you're right, they may lose that they may get frustrated because AI is now running the show. They then can't fulfill their, in quotes, purpose, whatever that purpose is.
I'd say that they lose the will to live. They just lose the will to live because Monday would be like a Tuesday, would be like a Wednesday, like a Thursday, like a Friday. Thank God it's
But
Friday. It wouldn't work any
yeah,
longer.
but
It's
why
just
do you need to be defined by a job as to who you are?
it's not the job. It's not the job that defines you, Tony. It's the struggle. It's the struggle to get up in the morning and then because you have to go to work. That's the struggle. That's actually going into work, knowing you're going to face that twat of a manager and having to go in anyway in my case, I go into school knowing that I'm going to face these teenagers who, by rights, already many of them are lost causes and should be put up against the wall. Anyway, you can't shoot kids, okay, so we can't do that, but we can find some way to just quietly euthanize them, and then get on with the rest of it. But you have to go in and you have to pretend. You can't smack anyone, which you'd love to do. And when they ask, when they're ignoring you and things, you want to kick them, give them a swift kick. You can't do that. So you go in there and you start, and then at the end of the day, you've come back and you've won. You didn't lash out. And when someone really annoyed you, when one of the children really annoyed you, you bit down on something inside, became calm, gave a nice, reasonable answer, and actually got the kid on your side, and actually got the kid to do some work, and you won. And you've done something, and you can go home feeling proud of yourself.
Well, there you go. You could still
But
do
if
that.
AI will they'll just plonk these kids in front of. I think we've already discussed this, haven't we? One of our shows that we haven't.
No.
Why do children have to go to school? Why don't
No,
just
we
put them in
haven't
front of them?
discussed that. No, we haven't. No.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully we're going to have a show on schools and everything, and I'll bring it up again. But there's this idea going around that there's really no good reason to have children going into school. To have a homogeneous educational experience, all children should be taught by the very best teacher. That in some schools, very clearly, you've got this teacher in this subject, and he or she is the best, right? Which means that other students are automatically disadvantaged because they don't have the best teacher. Well, if all children were studying from home in front of screens, they'd have access to this all the best of the best teachers, right? So why don't we do
one
that
teacher could handle thousands of kids, example, with AI.
they'd handle all the kids in the country. But it wouldn't be a teacher, it'd be an AI
Yeah.
that had been designed by a group of teachers, and this was going to be the perfect course. And then it would be the job of other teachers just to ensure that the kids are doing the work, and that would just be an oversight kind of thing. Maybe even AI could do that and just report back to the parents and saying, very sorry, little Johnny hasn't done his work, little Mary hasn't done her work today. Would you please ensure that she's done it?
It would all be accessed, wouldn't it? If
Exactly.
you think about it, it'd be all on a system that people can tap into.
Precisely.
And this is what's leading me into another stage. You see, that would not disadvantage children. That would improve their education because they're getting the best of the best.
They're being educated in the silo at home.
No,
separate,
not necessarily, because
socializing with other children is part of why we go to school, so that we learn to tolerate other people.
Yes, but what would happen is you would have a school in a virtual reality. So, for instance, you would put on those VR goggles rather than a flat screen, and you would still be able to interact with the virtual kids. Now, the advantage is that you can't beat anyone up. You won't be able to do any of that. But you can still interact. You can still make friends in this virtual, because you're seeing them in a
virtual
school.
classroom.
Yeah, virtual classroom, but you're at home. So you'd have a lot of your play interactions, all the rest of it, done from your location. So there'll be less pollution because there'll be less people needing to drive or to travel. So there are a lot of benefits, but there's also a lot of disadvantages as well. Because if the social element, because we humans are social creatures, is still maintained via this VR virtual reality system, then those connections are still made. They're just not physical, they're pseudo-physical, if you know what I mean. It's done.
If you said you don't get beaten up. The risk of being beaten up is one of the joys of being at school. Also, beating people up, and the risk of being beaten up is one of the great joys of being in school. What does it teach you? Diplomatic skills. Also, if you're not lucky, how to take a good thumping every so often. You also learn that. And this is how you build a strong young man. I don't know how it works in female schools. I went to boys only school. But yeah, and testing yourself against others physically is important. Where do you
Hmm.
fit in the hierarchy? How strong are you?
I
Things
mean,
like this.
you
So
would still, there would be occasions where the
PE, for
learning,
instance, how would you do that?
the learning part could be done on AI, but when you have to have physical activity, that could still be supervised and still run in a real genuine environment. So kids would be encouraged to do team stuff, but physically. So that's the bit they'd have to get out for, where, oh, I've got a PE session now, so I've
Mm.
now got to physically go to a location not far from home where there'll be other kids, where you interact there, play sports. So you're doing that physical element, but then you come back and do the teaching element on the VR, because that's more efficient and that's more structured. Whereas the physical contact can still happen, not in playtime as such, but in sporting activities and that sort of area.
It's an idea. It's be worth. It might work. I'm not. I don't know, but it might work. I still think that the outcome of such children would be extremely isolated children whose social skills are pretty appalling, as we are beginning to see now.
We
For
are
instance,
seeing that now. Yes, we
we
are,
are seeing.
because less kids are going out to play
Yep.
because they're playing on their Xboxes, PlayStations, etc. They're still communicating with their friends and colleagues, but it's all done from their bedroom. So they're not out, running around with them, but
In
they
fact, it's
are.
very difficult for people like you and me to even understand the lifestyle of these children. I realized that in one of my classes when the children are telling me things about being online. I thought I was going to tell them how to be safe and all that, and they were like, "Oh yeah, no, you don't want to do that." Blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking,
Yeah.
how do you guys know this? And they're telling me about who's who on TikTok and who Adam Tate is. I didn't even know who Adam Tate is. They knew who Adam Tate was, and they were
Is it Adam
telling me about.
Tate? Is it
Sorry,
Adam? Yeah, I know it's the Tate, one of the Tate brothers. I don't know
Adam
if it's
Adam
Adam. Is it
Tate.
Adam Tate?
That what?
The guy that's been locked up and now been released because they've threatened him or something.
Right, yes, Adam. I don't know I don't know. What I know
Hey,
about him is that he's like a manosphere kind of person,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they were telling us, and they were telling me about him and stuff. So it is a
Mm,
different world for these
yeah, yeah, yeah.
children, and I
Do
suppose in a heavily AI world,
mm,
it would be a different world that you and I suppose, can barely conceive of right now.
wow.
But I just wonder. I mean, this is why people take drugs, isn't it? To sort of get out of their own heads, which is
Well, yes, possibly. I mean, that may lead to that, and you may get, but then again, they may, because it's entertainment, you may find that there will be more legalized areas cropping up where people can go and get stoned. You're going to allow it because people won't be driving anywhere because automation would take care of that. When you need to hire a cab, you just ask for one. And the you can see where this can go to. I mean, as an example, you could end up with a two-tier society where you can have people volunteering to have implants, and those implants give you benefits. Now, granted, those implants mean that Big Brother is watching, but they give you security. I'll give you an example. There could be a situation where if you volunteer to have an implant, it's based on two or three type of implants. One of them will be an ocular one, so that you can have information literally at your fingertips all the time, and also the health benefit implants. So these are implants which go inside your body, and by the ocular implant, it radios back to a central location when your readings are not right. If you're not feeling well, it can diagnose, because it's inside your body, It can see the symptoms, report to the doctor, and the doctor has a heads up about you immediately before the problem manifests. Now, if you choose not to have this, then obviously you lose out on the health benefits of this technology. So there's ways around it. You're giving away some of your freedoms in return for better health, like a tier 1 health. If you choose not to have that, then you're becoming a not a second class citizen, but you get tier 2 health, where it's more reactive. So that's a reason why people may choose to do it. But the benefits, not just health benefits, you may have communication benefits. Let's say, for instance, you're lost. You go, oh, where do I need to go? You can ask your system. It knows where you are, can hail you a taxi, in quotes. It's already funded because it knows your account. You just literally step in and you go to where you need to go. So the convenience element from AI and automation will improve, in quotes, the life for those people that choose to have that implant. And those that choose not to, and it will be a choice, say, no, I don't want that, I don't want to give up my freedom. But unfortunately, they get the less flexibility of society. So you could end up with a two-tier society if these implants are allowed, AI will allow it, than those people that choose not to have it.
It's an interesting thing, because just this morning I was watching a video and on useless tube, which is my way of saying YouTube, and
Oh dear.
it was very interesting. Now, it was ridiculous to me when I first started watching the video. I thought it was nonsense, but upon watching it, I do have to say that there might be something to it. And this is that some scientists, I'm trying to find out. Here we go.
Is this something that we can share with our
That's
audience?
what I'm trying to do now. That's why I'm looking for it. And I'm just going to send it to you now. Apparently, scientists can control DNA using electricity, electrical impulses, which they insert acupuncture needles into the body, attach wires to it, and send certain signals. I don't know how they do it, and those signals do something to the DNA, and it helps DNA to then DNA responds to the signals, and they're basically programming the DNA. And
What,
the
repairing it or getting it to function in a different way? Because your DNA is like your code on how you operate, and the DNA makes the cells. So how are they changing the DNA? You're changing the cells?
Well, they're changing I don't know, they're sending signals to the DNA, and it's responding in a way that alters its behavior, its functions, and gives the results they're looking for. So what they did was they tried this on a mouse that had diabetes, and they were sending signals to the DNA to get it to release insulin when it was needed. In other words, they were curing the diabetes.
Wow.
And the way forward, the future thing they're saying is, yeah, if you got cancer, it's, oh, you got cancer, where is it? Oh, blah, blah, blah. All right, tell your body, kill those cancer cells. So that's
And that's what they're saying about the implant. What happens is you got the implant that monitors it all, and it will then regulate what's needed.
Yeah, well, it will find that, oh, you got this person's got cancer in this place.
Report
and the doctor
back.
said blah, 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 and then zap, 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 and there you go.
We are getting to Star Trek technology.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting. It's early days, but apparently, so I've sent you the link, and you can share that with our.
Brilliant. We'll share that with our audience at the end
Share
of
with our
the
audience.
blurb with this show.
So this is all the good things, but the other thing is this. Look, you play chess, okay? I'm a terrible chess player. I mean, I'm probably one of the worst on the planet. No, seriously.
Okay.
And someone like me, playing chess is usually a humiliating experience. But my dad was reasonably good at it. I had some friends who were reasonably good at it. And all of us used to say this thing about if we had more time, if only we had more time, it's nonsense. If only we had more time, we could be grandmasters too. No, you couldn't. You absolutely couldn't. But when AI can actually defeat our best grandmasters, is there any point in actually having human tournaments in chess? What for? Look, he's the best human. Yeah, he's the best human, but we already know that this particular AI can trounce him. And
Okay. That
and
seems a flawed logic because we know that humans still plough a field, but we've got machines that do it. We know a human can still run, but a car can trounce a human in terms of speed. So you're still going to want to know who's the best out the humans. You're comparing like for like. But if you're comparing a human and AI, that's an unfair comparison, is it not?
for some reason, a car is one thing and a human is another. But if we had an android, what is it when you mix a human cyborg?
Cyborg.
A cyborg is a mixture of machine and human. If we started having a lot of humans sort of taking on, I'm not sure this is going to work actually. This argument, yeah, a lot of people taking on machinery, and essentially one day they were running against robots or something. No, that's a bad example. In the mental field, I think maybe it just has to be a mental thing. I still feel that I wouldn't want to work hard at chess knowing that I could never beat a machine. That's what I just maybe it's just me, but if I
I think it
can't
might be
beat
just you because you'd be.
at chess, it's so just mental because that used to be our superpower as humans was our mental ability.
Well, we still have superpower in that regard
Well, do
because
we?
because we're devising these AI systems and we are the ones that are creating it all. So
Hang on. AI is now writing AI. AIs are now creating AIs,
no,
which some
no,
people are saying is really bad news because we don't know what what the other AI can do. No, no, no. I read something about this. Have we not spoken about AI before?
we've touched on it on a couple of occasions, yes, but we've
I'm
never gone to
I'm
the detail
100%
that we're
sure.
covering in this topic.
I'm pretty sure I read that AIs have created their own AI, and the people who are watching this are not comfortable. I also remember saying that AIs created their own language because ours was too inefficient, and then their minders switched them off because they said they didn't know what they were talking about.
I'm
All
not
this
sure that
is a bit
that's actually a
fantastic.
truth. I think we'd need to double check that because
That's a
I'm
bit fantastic because I'm not sure this is a true intelligence. This is just routines, basically,
yeah,
at
but
some level.
also I'm not 100% convinced that that is exactly what happened.
Hmm.
I think that's a bit of an urban myth and again spreading false information. I mean, we touched on a previous show regarding AI and how it can affect actors and people in the
Wow.
in all of that. Remember,
Oh
it
yeah,
was
films. What's the point of being an
film.
actor? We don't
Well,
need them any longer.
no, because you can simulate an AI to do the same thing
Do you
and
mind if
do
I
it better.
interrupt?
You have to pay them. Yeah,
Do you mind if I interrupt? Because you
yeah.
just put me in mind of this. There is a conspiracy theory out there right now that Hollywood bigwigs actually want to push writers to the edge and to destroy them and to destroy that union. So they're looking for a 2 to 3 year writing strike to obliterate the writers union, because what they're dying to do is to get in the AI because then they don't have to pay them.
Well,
So that's why they're not interested in talking, and that's why Bob Iger of Disney was so, well, let them lose their houses. They actually want them to be frustrated. I mean, apparently they are. Um, there's an argument amongst the bigwigs. Did they cut down the trees? Did they pull down the leaves? Or denude the trees, which are providing shade for the people who are striking outside the Disney studios. Because some of the executives are saying, of course, you give them shade. You want them there, because we want to keep the strike going. And then the others are saying, no, we want to disperse them, have them go home and not showing up, and that will kill. So no one is saying, let's bring them in and let's bring them in, let's negotiate. That it's like, how come we're not talking
But
about?
then that's depending on what's the gripe. What's the gripe of these writers? Is it based on the fact that AI is taking their
No,
jobs away?
no.
So
Their
what's
their
their
gripe
gripe?
their gripe is that they're not getting residuals from the shows that they've written. So residuals are everything for writers.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you write, okay, for our audience, if someone writes a script for a show, you're not going to get paid for writing that script, but every time that what you've written, the episode or the show that you wrote for is shown, the actors anyway, more often than not, get paid what they call a
Royalty. It's a
residual.
royalty fee, isn't
It's
it?
like a royalty fee. So the writers are not getting that, and they're like, "Well, why aren't we getting residuals? Because we're not getting paid that much anymore." So their earnings have already been depressed by the studios, and they're saying, "Well, now we really want to be getting residuals for our work because, after all, it is our work."
Right.
And the
So
studios
that's
are
their
saying
case. So they're currently not getting it, but they want that.
they want it,
Right.
and saying that because before they used to get well paid, so they got all their money up front, if you like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And now they're not getting that money up front, and at the same time they're not getting it at the back end. So it's like, well, what?
I see. So I think the thing is they're maybe they're fighting for a cause maybe too late because as you say, AI is quite prevalent. AI could be taking over the role of the scriptwriter, and as you rightly say, if Disney can see an opportunity there where
Mm,
you can either not get rid of all of them, but you can get rid of a big chunk, 10, twenty
mm.
percent of them, because
No, much more.
AI could replace a lot of them, then you
Ninety-eight
would
percent, 95 to 98%, get rid of them all. And what you have is you have AI writing, and then you have your in-house team just to
just to
brush it up,
tweak it.
just to
Yeah,
tweak it here and tweak it there.
indeed. Well, that is almost inevitable, and unfortunately, I mean, part of the topic that we're covering here, automation and AI will remove many jobs. Many jobs. There's going to be very few that will be untouched. Very few. The only ones that could be late to the table but still be affected at some point is when AI and robotics become more advanced, because robotics is the element of this which hasn't caught up yet
Mm,
with AI. So automation is happening, AI is rapidly advancing at screaming paces, but robotics hasn't had the advances yet in line with the other two. Because if robotics advances as quickly as AI, then you could marry the two, and then literally every job would be under threat. I mean, every job. Because if you have a machine with AI that could do it, you're
mm.
basically replicating us as with robots that are faster, stronger, as intelligent, faster processing. You're removing every element. The only few jobs that may be untouched is a masseur, for instance. A masseur is
Yeah,
quite
no one wants
specific
to be massaged
by
by
a
a robot.
robot, a metal armed. But then again, if the
Depending
technology
on
improves,
depending on the
yeah,
technology behind it. I think pilots are safe.
airline pilots,
Yes,
no, they're
you
not.
never want to get onto a plane
But that's a
and it's
humans. That's a human thing. Think
mm,
about it now. I have a friend who is a pilot, and he says the airline industry, the pilots are only needed for the carrying public. The
mm,
plane can now do everything. Can take off, can land, can cruise, does it as good, if not better, than a pilot. But the human pilot is needed to give comfort to the public.
It's not entirely true. You tell your friend that your podcast colleagues challenges him on that.
Okay.
Pilots are there for emergencies.
Well, yes,
To handle
for things that
emergencies.
go wrong as well. Yeah,
When
but a
things
lot
go
of the
wrong.
time they're not doing a lot. They still do take off. They still do landing on the majority of flights. That's their job. However, having flown myself, been in a cockpit myself and actually done simulations. I've not actually gone up in the air myself, but I know how the equipment works. A lot of it is taken care of you. You literally have to follow what the instruments are telling you. So it's yeah, there's not a lot in theory to do. Obviously, you're right. In emergencies, when things don't function, then of course the skill of the pilot is paramount.
Oh, yeah.
But otherwise, the majority of the work now is automated.
Absolutely. In fact, it's the problem in that on long haul flights, pilots can actually lose concentration because they just kind of zone out and just assume that the autopilot is going to handle whatever it is. They're not really paying attention.
Well,
And
it does. It has
and
the
it's
tech
a
in there.
problem.
It does. It does take care of the majority of the stuff. Keeps things on the flight path. Keeps the plane at a certain altitude. It also can deal with wind turbulence and things like that. It can do all of that far more accurately and better than the pilot can. The
This is why
pilot
you
is just
got
there
now
to oversee.
inverse dependency, what they call inverse dependency, where the pilot is over dependent on
Well, the technology
the
is there. We have that now in cars more and more as well. And it's where AI is moving to. I mean, think about it now. There are a lot of people who drive cars now, particularly in America for sure, that do not know how to change gears using a stick shift. A car for them means automatic. So the gear, changing gears is no longer needed because most cars are automatic and all electric cars are automatic. There's no gear changing. So that function, that tool, that knowledge of changing gears is going to be defunct in the next 5 years. People will be passing tests without having to learn that because it's not necessary anymore. It's a technology that has evolved where it's no longer needed. So
actually you
this,
already take a test like that. It's just that you can't drive a manual.
yes, exactly.
You
So
already
it's
take
already
that kind
here.
of test.
Exactly, it's already here. So what we're saying is automation, the progression of automation is moving forward because let's be honest, how many people could go and hunt for food, kill an animal now?
If I can find the animal, and
No.
if it would wait for me to catch up to it with my walking stick, then if it'd be
You
kind
see,
enough to
te-
hang around.
technology has already done that. In our society now, we don't hunt for food. We go to a supermarket and pick it up ready made and cleaned. So it's already progressive as it is in this state. We are just, automation will just take it another stage further. What I am interested in, I'm mindful that we're reaching the top of the hour, by the way, is this chip, this embedded technology, the augmented technology that you touched upon, that if you have bits, say for instance you damage an arm irreparably, you can have an automated arm added in. Legs now, there's people that are having where they're ill and they've had to lose their legs or been in an accident or a tragedy or something where their limbs have been replaced with artificial limbs which will have AI in them, which will allow the function almost as good as their original organic legs. So technology will move forward and will change the landscape of society, and whether it's good or bad is still up for debate, but we do have to put some safeguards in because there will be loss of purpose for a lot of people. They don't
I don't
want
think
to be
safeguards are
totally
going.
dependent.
It's always a thin edge of the wedge. The Chinese now, there's a reason where I think you forgot, or maybe you haven't forgotten. The reason we're having this discussion and this topic today is because I sent you a link. I don't know, was it a video? It must have been, or an article. I don't know what it was, where the Chinese youngsters are adopting IKEA teddy bears as children and treating them as actual Children. Imagine when AI allows that experience to be something that looks a lot more human, because these teddy bears actually look like, well, actually, the gorilla, sort of little gorillas. And they weren't teddy bears, were they? They were
Mm.
IKEA gorillas, little orange gorillas. Imagine when you have AI and robotics that allows you to have a very, very lifelike baby model. Then what? Then would that satisfy the parenting pangs of young women in China? And then they go that
Possibly,
way because you
possibly.
don't have the diaper thing, and they can actually make it shut up between 10 o'clock at night and 6 o'clock when you wake up the following day. You can have that kind of an experience. Um, yeah, AI. What kind of society would come off at the back of that? With those experiences, like you don't drive anymore, not physically. You own a car, but you don't operate it.
Or do
You get
you own
into
a
the
car?
car.
Do you rent a car only when you need it because
Well,
the AI
you okay,
calls it?
you have possession of a car,
Mm.
but when you get into the car, all you do is just tell it where you're going. You
Yeah,
stop
glorified
driving.
taxi.
It's a yeah, and everything you do is done for you. What is the ultimate effect on your psyche? Do you ever grow up? Do you ever become a mature human being? Are you just babied all your life?
I don't know. This it's whether you move away from, it becomes entertaining. You want to entertain and do experiences and spend time with people and friends you care about. I don't know. I think it just frees you up. It depends on the individual. If an individual has derives their purpose from a job, for instance, which is wrong, by the way, but if they do, then if the job is taken away, then they lose their purpose, which isn't good because a job shouldn't give you the purpose. It gives you satisfaction, surely it should do, and you should get pleasure and enjoyment from a job if you want a career, for instance. But you shouldn't lose your purpose if the job is taken away. You're still a human being after all, and you're made up of a lot of things rather than a job. So if AI and technology took your job away because it can find technology that replaces the need for you, you're still a human being. You should still be able to take that opportunity, do other things, be a better individual, improve yourself, maybe physically. You'd get more physical people, maybe. I don't know. You could get some people that end up being whales because they eat and drink too much because they have no purpose. But then you also have a group of people who will aspire to improve themselves, get physically fit and feel better about themselves and do stuff in life. So it's the individual rather than society. Society just provides this mechanism. It's
What if you
we, the
have
individuals, how we react.
what if you have a government that isn't very friendly towards its population, and those chips you're talking about that are injected into you, those chips are programmed so that when you've eaten more than 2 bars of chocolate in any 1 month, your third bar of chocolate tastes absolutely terrible.
Do you know what? A lot of people would actually celebrate that because it stops you overeating and becoming ill. But that's a separate topic. I mean, we could talk at length here, and I think we need to carry on because that's a great point that you've raised there, Tayo. And I think we could elaborate that even more. And I think we need to do a secondary follow up show on exactly that point. What if governments become all controlling?
Hmm.
Then what sort of society do we have? But anyway, as we need to wrap up here, we really have reached the top of the hour. What's your view on our topic today?
It's a hard one to resolve. The only, unfortunately, I'm going to sit on the fence and say we just got to just get them, see what happens.
Yeah, you're right. It is a tough one to answer. Does it damage us? Possibly, depending on the individual. But I think there has to be safeguards put in place by government that if the AI does come along, there has to be alternatives that people can turn to. so that they're not left out on a limb. And then you're right, it could be quite detrimental to these people. But certainly the angle of whether the governments could use this added power, especially with the chips, not necessarily for the benefit of the individual, but for more their control, that is certainly a subject that we should address in a future show. But unfortunately, we have reached the end of this show for this week.
Aye.